Shalom friends, welcome back to Parsha Reactions, Beshalach. Part 1. The Red Sea has been split and the Israelites have just barely made it to the other side. Shit is going down. By that I mean the entire army of Pharaoh is going down to their watery graves. Because Hashem just closed the underwater HOV lane. Now, understandably, I think the Israelites were feeling some feelings. At this point, they are fully on board with the Hashem hype train. And for one hot second, one glorious hot second in time, the Israelites were all Team Moses. Blink and you miss it. But at that moment, the vibes were right. Moshe, takes the opportunity to lead a victory song and gets everybody to join with him. It was a banger, both praising God and it was a diss track about Pharaoh's army, which was pretty hardcore considering their unalive bodies were still washing up like 2 feet away. So after Moshe and everybody are like done with their jam sesh, turns out, wow, okay, he was just the opening act. Who was the real star of this moment, despite only having like 2 verses? Who was headlining here? That's right, it was Miriam the prophet, that's who. She planned ahead as a prophet, that was her specialty. She had all the women bring percussion instruments with them. Miriam's know about production value. So Miriam leads the women in a song all about how Hashem crushed their enemies. I think we all know the choreo was on point for that. Come on. After the spiritual and emotional high of their redemption and of this seaside music festival, Moshe leads the Israelites into the wilderness. That brief moment in time where the Israelites actually liked Moshe, that little milk and honeymoon, well, that only lasted 3 days. Because somehow in the middle of the wilderness, there was no drinkable water. And people need that. At least that's what I've heard. If only complaining was hydrating, because there was a lot of complaining going on. Moshe went from being a prince to being a shepherd to being a reluctant representative of God to being everyone's manager with, I might add, absolutely 0 prior experience. So like every 5 minutes in this parsha, whenever there's a crisis, and there are a lot of crises, they blame him. And each time he gets a terrible performance review, he goes to his manager, who is God, and goes, help, and then God has to do something. Hashem is like, okay, everybody, welcome to the onboarding process. All you gotta do is keep all of my laws. It's not like there are a lot of them. And that way I will have no reason to do to you what I did to the Egyptians. Because I'm Hashem, your healer. Okay, not gonna lie, that's kind of giving toxic workplace environment. The Israelites are struggling. To be fair, they were going through the intense foundational origin story of the Jewish people. So yes, they were a little verklempt. And more than a little hangry. They were like, we wish we had just gotten unalived by God back in Egypt because at least that way we would have been able to order a pizza. But no, Moshe, you had to bring us out into the middle of nowhere so we could all starve. You asshole. Stay tuned for part 2.